Where's that? You know, when you're ready to make that big meal, I'm going to be here for about a week. Yeah, so there you go. You're not on the hook now, brother.
Oh, well, just so you know, Melanie was sous chef at Highway Harry's.
Oh, see, I got two of them, you know.
Gotta order beef Wellington.
Yeah, there you go. That's good stuff. Dennis had a lot of facial expressions, and they were funny. And when he made those faces, it was like Jackie Gleason. Because Gleason, I read about him, he spent hours in front of a mirror practicing his eyes, his mouth, everything. To Dennis, it was just natural. But it was so funny because the one thing I never saw in your dad, never, was fear. The guy that did not exist in Dennis. And I don't care, Al's over there going, you know, so he knows. But I don't care what the situation was, Dennis was not scared of nothing. And I know one thing for sure. Had Dennis gone to war, he would have been a squad leader. Those men would have admired him, and they would have served him, and they would have charged that hill just because it was Dennis. Because that's the way that guy was. Fear didn't exist. And I think I remember the day that I actually realized that Dennis had no fear. And that's when he came to me and he said, I have a favor to ask you. I said, okay, what's that? He says, I need you to go on a double date with me. And I'm like, okay, who's the girl? And he said, well, you're going to be with Kathy Henriksen. And she was an upperclassman 1 year. I said, okay. So I said, who are you going to be with? This is when I knew he had no fear. He tells me, Kay Kissling. Oh yeah. Yeah. The daughter of Boob Kissling, Mr. Athletic Director, Mr. World War II vet, Mr. Boxer, Mr. Purple Heart Battle of the Bulge. Right? So he was kind of like the Rolling Cross of high school. And you feared Boob Kissling. And I'm looking at Dennis, I'm going, are you kidding me? You're gonna date Kay Kissling? Well, you know what? I'll be in the back seat with Henriksen, so I got no problem. You know? But I'm gonna be guilty if you get caught by association and we're both gonna get nailed by Kissling. So I didn't remember, it didn't last very long, thank God. It was like maybe a couple of months, and then it was kind of like, okay, you know, done. Maybe wrestling season started or something, I don't know. But I know Marion doesn't like me to tell the story the way I like to tell it and whatnot, but I tell it like it is. I'm not going to hold back the circumstances, but I want to tell you how they met. You know, Dennis being over the road, truck driver, he would often call me and let me know, hey, I'm coming into California. So, you know, I get everything, I started making the macaroni salad or macaroni and cheese. I go to the store and get the brats. Thank God Johnsonville went nationwide with the brats. And, you know, homemade beef and noodles, whatever. I wanted Dennis to have good home cooking and not road food. So, you know, he took me doing the back and forth thing, and then this girl here happened to be in this bar in Colton, California, which is next door to San Bernardino, which is where the Hells Angels started. That's their little home base there. So Colton being next door. She's there at this bar, and Dennis came in with a load. I don't know if he was waiting to get unloaded or if he was waiting to pick up a load, but he happened to be at the same bar. And Dennis, in his protective ways, he notices this guy badgering Marion. And she wants nothing to do with the guy. So Dennis is just kind of sitting there observing it, you know, and liking on her. And after 3 or 4 times, Dennis just walked over and he's just like, hey, can't you see she don't want you bothering her? You need to go away. So the guy, bigger than Dennis, looks at him and goes, you don't know who you're messing with. So he rolls up the sleeve and shows him this Hell's Angel tattoo. There again, no fear. So they go outside and discuss matters.
I'm sure they did a lot of.
Well, the problem is this guy didn't know who he was messing with when it came to your dad. Because it was one punch. This guy went down like a wet noodle, did not move. He takes this girl, he's like, you want to go for a ride in the big truck?
He actually took me to my sister's car. I
Okay.
did not go for a ride.
Oh, on the front seat, right? Yeah. So to this day, they don't know, this is what she doesn't like me to say, they don't know the condition of that guy. You know, is he like 6 feet under right now, or is he just knocked out? So that's the way they met, and then you see the results of the rest of that story. So, but it is typical. I could just see his face when this guy does the Hell's Angel tattoo. I could just see his like surprised, astonished look, like, well, let's go outside, you know. And like I said, Al has felt. I haven't seen Al get hit by Dennis in your house because you were done drinking beer, and he said, we're not done drinking beer. And you wanted to go upstairs, and you tried to get around Dennis. Oh no,
Oh, yeah.
we were still building pyramids for another hour or so out of the cans. So we've all, you know, Markham and Howie Swinehart and Smith and myself and whoever, all felt how hard Dennis could get. It was hard.
I believe that's when the tattoo thing with the Hell's Angel, I believe that went to Devil Dog.
Yeah.
Let's go outside.
Yeah, devil dog. Okay, all right. He never told me that part because he had that devil dog on.
Yeah.
He said, how he showed us it. There you go, pal.
He'd only been out a couple of years.
Yeah.
He was still invisible.
So, just like with these guys here today, you see how veterans kind of like instantly attract to each other, instantly have a love for each other and a respect for each other. And with Dennis, through the years, we always told each other that I love you, brother. And that was just a natural thing. And it was heartfelt. Just like me with Mike and talking about his son that gave a sacrifice. But when I came here when Dennis got the life sentence, that we were sitting there on the porch, and he looked at me and he goes, you know, Ray, you always treated me good. And I really tried to. But I hope I have. But he said, you always treated me good, and you've always recognized me for things in your life, and I appreciate that. And I said, Dennis, I like giving credit where credit is due. And he said, I can never repay you for what you've done for me. And it's not even a thing that I would want you to repay me for, because it just doesn't happen. These guys wouldn't even expect me to do anything to repay them. That's just the way it is. That's just what we do. So I had given Dennis my T-shirts from that resolution that I wrote, that I give Dennis credit to because it wouldn't exist without him. And my challenge coins as well. So Dennis says, you know, after I couldn't pass my medical exam, you know, their funds kind of went down because he couldn't work and drive the truck. And so he said, I don't have much to give you other than this. And that was this Marine Corps lighter. And this is what Dennis gave me. So now, this lighter, when I'm home, is in my bedroom on top of my Bible, next to my bed. This is where it stays. I just wanted to bring it here today to show you that even the smallest things that you can give a person, and that old saying goes, it's It doesn't matter the size or what it costs. It's just what it means. And this really does mean a lot to me. I told Dennis about my last night in Wisconsin when my mom was ill. And I came back here and I stayed about a month with my mom to kind of help out Greg to take on some of the duties of taking my mom to her treatments. So I stayed out here about a month and really enjoyed it because the Olympics were going on and she loves the Olympics. She loves all sports, to tell you the truth. But I was telling Dennis that when it came the night before I had to go back to California, I was going to drive Mom's car to the bus stops there where the Van Galder buses take you to Chicago. And then Greg was going to pick up the car later. And I was just leave the keys somewhere. Well, just in the car, he had extra set of keys. But when Mom went to bed that night, when I said goodnight to her, she went down the hall, she turned around and looked at me, and she said, I wish you didn't have to go. And those words just, like, etched in my mind. And I just haven't forgotten those words. And so I went to bed, and I got up that morning early to get down there. I think they leave at 5 in the morning. So I get up and I get dressed, and everything was already packed. So I just thought, I'm just going to go down the hallway upstairs and just peek in on Mom. And I'm glad I did because I never saw her alive again. And I went to Madison. Well, I did, but not in the conditions I wanted to. So I got to Madison, I parked the car. There's a gas station right next door to that parking lot. So I went over to get coffee and wait. And so I turned on the radio, and Mom liked country. And the song came on that I had never heard before. It was called What Do You Say by Reba McEntire. And I just sat there in the parking lot listening to the song, bawling. It was just ripping me apart, tearing out my heart. And if you get a chance, look at the video, because my mom died of lung cancer. But YouTube that video of Reba's What Do You Say? Because the first time I saw it, I just couldn't believe the ending. So, I played that video over the past couple of weeks, probably a couple dozen times. And I already flipped that page with my reading glasses. So, back to Dennis, and when I told him that story about my mom, and we were just some general chat, Dennis just looked at me and he just said, I wish you didn't have to go. And so did I. I didn't want to leave. And here's what changed. Was I love these guys that are veterans and the non-veterans even, but the veteran thing, the brother thing, it's like, I love you, brother. Well, that changed. That changed last year when I was here in July with Dennis and me, because when I got ready to leave, I knew I was going to give him a salute. But Dennis looked at me and he said, I love you, Ray. It wasn't, I love you, brother, it was, I love you, Ray. And I just naturally came back with, I love you too, Dennis. And then it was all about the hand salute, and then I was in the car and I was gone. So, I just want to thank you all here. I got one more thing I'm going to say, but right now I want anybody that wants to come up and talk about Dennis or even tell a story. I know that Dave's got a story from Guy Gibney that he wants to read. And so this is just kind of a little bit of open time. If you guys are thinking some thoughts, you're welcome to come up right after Dave speaks.
So many of you here know who Guy Gibney is, but you probably don't know who Guy Gibney is. Guy Gibney is Oregon's first state wrestling champion. And he graduated a year after Dennis. And so Guy just learned yesterday, that Dennis, passed away, and that there was a service today. And so I told him, I said, I know from the past that, Guy had a lot of admiration for Dan. And Guy's brother Dan is here today. I thought it would be more appropriate for him to share this, but he bowed out. So this is a letter written from Guy Gibney, Oregon High School alumni, class of 1976. I just heard Dennis Miller passed away. Although I haven't seen Dennis for decades, I wanted to see him again and talk about old times. It breaks my heart that now I can't. I never had an older brother, but if I could have, I would hope he'd be like Dennis. Actually, Dennis was like an older brother to me and treated me as such. He would wrestle with me on and off the mat and teach me even though he was much heavier. Guy, I think at that time probably weighed 98 pounds. He never used his weight advantage to beat me, but rather wrestled with me, teaching me the finer points of certain moves and holds. Dennis had more guts, huevos, balls, or whatever you can call them, than most people I have ever met. Although he was less than 200 pounds in high school, he wrestled heavyweight. Many times he had to wrestle opponents who were much heavier than he was. Sometimes the fate of the team hung on his matches. And I just want to intervene here. Back then, it was always the same. I mean, you started out with the lightweight, which was the 98-pounder, and then the last match was the heavyweight. And so many times the team win was on Dennis's shoulders. And so sometimes the fate of the team hung on his matches. And when the pressure was on the most, we thought he couldn't pull it off. But he would beat a much stronger and heavier opponent. Being raised by a single parent, many times I found myself without a ride home or even an evening meal. If Dennis knew about it, he always took me to his house and made sure I had food and shelter. He was such a funny person and could always make me laugh. As small as I was, no one ever messed with me or picked on me if Dennis were around. I think he might have fought a tiger to protect me. Maybe not, but that is the way he made me feel. I just read his obituary online, and Ray said it best. Loved by many and missed by all. How very true.
Is there anybody else who wants to come up and say anything about Dennis? I know it's hard, I put you on the spot. Al, you got anything? I mean, come on.
One of my earliest memories of Dennis is
Look, come on up here.
taking off you.
All right, turn that camera on and then die.
After school, me and Dennis were hanging out. We ended up over at his house. And of course, his mom knew teenage boys are hungry, so she made up some hot dogs. I can remember Dennis putting on this whole thing of this white stuff. I'm like, what's that doing? It was horseradish. And he's sitting there with just tears coming out of his eyes, and he's all red and sweating. And I just looked at him like, what are you doing? He was like, oh, it's so good. I always loved his laugh.
Yeah,
Remember his laugh.
you got a unique laugh. Yeah, when you pointed that out, I was kind of like, wow, even Al knew about that unique laugh, you know. And yeah, the horseradish. When he came out, and that's the way I eat my brats is with ketchup and horseradish. I don't do the sauerkraut thing. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and switch the benediction that Dave's gonna do. I'm gonna put that in front of my final tribute to Dennis. So if you will all just join me, and I'll have Dave come back up and give the benediction.
I'm going to ask you all to rise for the benediction comes from Revelation 21, 1 through 5. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth had passed away. I saw the holy city, the new Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride, beautiful, dressed for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, "Look, God's dwelling place is now among the people, and he will dwell with us. They will be his people, and God himself will be with them and be their God. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death, or mourning, or crying, or pain, for the old order of things has passed away." He who was seated on the throne said, "I am making everything new." Then he said, "Write this down, for these words are trustworthy and true."
Thanks, Dave. Okay, so I really had a long time to prepare for this because we had Dennis around for a year, but I just didn't want to face it until the actual time came, so I've been kind of busy the last couple of weeks. But it's good because it was a good busy. And I kind of wrote down every story I could think of to talk about Dennis. And then I would go back and cross out just really to the cream of the crop ones that I wanted to speak to you guys today. Go ahead and sit back down. I'm going to be talking for another hour. But one of the stories I crossed off, and I think I'm going to go ahead and just tell it before I go into this final thing, was, and I know Dennis is going to forgive me for this because he promised me to never, ever tell anybody. And to this day, I never have told anybody the truth, or even what happened. But I'm going to do it now, Dennis. And that was in high school. Dennis was dating this girl from Evansville named Laura. And he was in love with her. High school love. We all had that. You know, we even have love today that we have that is even better than high school love, you know. But Dennis and Lori got into an argument and broke up. And apparently it was Lori that broke up. Well, that's a big pain for a guy. That hurts a guy because we're macho guys, right? So Dennis that day he happened to be driving Jeff Swinehart's car, and I think it was like a 64, 65 Buick Special or something, 4-door. And he's driving back from Evansville, the back roads, into Brooklyn. And I can't remember the name of the road, but I could drive to it now, and I could probably find the culvert. But he was crying. He was crying because his heart was broke. And he hit the side of the culvert, and it threw the car out into the field and rolled over and destroyed Swinehart's car. Now, I don't know what story Dennis told Jeff. Okay, I don't know what it was,
I
but
know he swore him as a deer.
is that what he said? The deer? Yeah, okay.
Probably be in the car.
Yeah,
Oh, you have to be in the car, that too.
yeah. But Dennis told me, he said, "I'll tell you the truth, Ray, if you promise never to tell anybody." I said, "Okay, what happened?" He said, I was crying over Lori. And I said, "You know, we've all cried over girlfriends, we've cried over wives and whatever, fiancés and things that don't last. It's just for whatever reason, we've all had our hearts broke." And so I was kind of hoping Jeff Swinehart were going to be here because he'd tell that story when he'd come out. And that's why I put Jeff's name in the paper. So Now I'm gonna, before we get ready to eat the food here from Richards, for those of you that, 'cause this is our lifestyle now, if you got what I have, it's time to take your pills before you eat. Okay? And don't you just love the fact that you got the whole week here, and you got AM and you got PM, right? But here's, and this would have been a great thing to have been on like Shark Tank in 1975, because we'd all be millionaires right now. If I struck it rich, every one of my classmates would be living the life. But this thing can bite you in the ass too. So I don't know how many times I'll go to the kitchen where it's on my kitchen table, and I look at it and I realize I didn't take my pills last night. So how many has done that? Oh, good. I am in good company. So now, when that time comes, I look at there and I go, I didn't take last night's pills. I have the answer. I'm going to look at it and I'm going to say, damn it. So with that, that concludes today. I want to thank you all for coming. I'm proud of all of you and the close people that were here for Dennis. And let's enjoy the food and rock and roll. Okay. Thanks, Scott. I'm going to sneak outside real quick and put this stuff on my bike so I...
That's not what we're sneaking outside for.
Hey, one more thing. One more thing. I've got these challenge coins of the resolution that I wrote. Some of you have seen it on my Facebook and I posted it. But over here on the table, Steve's got them hidden. But I've got a challenge coin for every one of you guys to take home. And those M&Ms. Come back to
Thanks.
all right. Well, no, timing.